Welcome back to the Lost in Stupidity podcast. I'm your host, Turner the Burner. We are podcasting and broadcasting. We are live and nationwide. Across from me is my co-host, Bailee Joe Hickman. How are you today, sir?
Man, I am good. I am currently the third place holder at the Amite, Louisiana Rodeo Father's Day Dance-Off.
Please put a pin in that and come back to that. On my left sits, good gracious, we're off to a great start. That's all, folks. Will the Hillbilly Howard, who is usually misspeaking more than me, and that's not the case today. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm neglecting building my house and hanging out with the boys.
As one does.
As one does.
See our early podcast about marriage.
Golly. Oh, my goodness.
Hey, we all needed time to relax with the boys. So.
Anyway, what did you say, third place what? You got to walk that out for me.
We went to Amite, Louisiana, which is about 30 minutes. You go on Highway 55.
Real hard town to spell.
Yeah. If you go on Highway 55 in Mississippi, like from Jackson, it's about 30 minutes over the Louisiana border. And they had a rodeo. Well, my wife loves rodeo. Doesn't matter if it's big, small, in the middle. If it's a rodeo, she wants to go.
Yeah.
So she just likes the cowboys and cowgirls. She was a stable hand back in high school. So she...
I did not know this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Horse girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's a horse girl. She's wonderful. Baby, I love her. But she loves horses. And so we go to the rodeo, and the boys are having a big time. Well, they say, all right, it's the week before Father's Day. Any dads that are willing, come on down and get in the arena. And they had
Of course, you.
Well, Jules like, you have to. And I was like, well, what they had done before was they did 6 to 12-year-old girls and 6 to 12-year-old boys at 2 different times, and they let a calf out that had a tag on the tail. And if you could chase the calf, and there's like 30 kids out there.
Yeah.
If you could chase the calf and get the tag off the tail, you won like $100. So I was thinking, oh, man.
I get to chase some calves.
I mean, I'm 31 years old. I'm in a lot better shape than all these dads.
And this heifer don't stand a chance.
I'm like, dude, I can catch that calf. Well, I'm like, all right, let's let this calf go. I'm ready. The dads are going to catch the calf now. And the cowboy clowns are out there, and they go, all right, dads, it's a dance-off. And I went, where's the calf at? Nope, it was a dance-off. So, of course, they play an array of music. And for those of you that don't know, I enjoyed getting down as a kid.
That is one word for it. Bailee, okay, maybe, I don't know that we can tell that on air. Bailee may or may not be the reason a college dance was shut down at one point.
I'm sorry, I thought this was a party.
Yeah, in college I got a dance that was a yearly dance shut down because of my...
Provocative.
Well, let's just say I was just
Gets
a
the
little
people
bit...
going.
Yeah, I may have done some moves that were not appropriate by the college's standards.
Continue.
Anyway.
Continue.
The rodeo liked it.
Yeah, third place.
And, I got to the last round. It was only 2 other guys made it up past me, and one of them got a
That's usually a good indicator you're in third.
Yeah, that's it. It's if you're number 3. If you ain't first, you last. But
I was high when I said that. He'd be second, third. Hey, he can be fourth.
One guy got a custom cowboy hat, and one guy got a new pair of Justin boots. And all I got was the accolades. And I did have 5 different moms
Oh, my goodness.
tell me I was rooting for you out there. And so I took that as a compliment.
There you go.
I got third place at the Amite Father's Day Rodeo Dance-Off.
That is fantastic.
Bailee said the real reward is to see your enemies driven before you and hear the lamentations of their women.
Behold my dance-off.
Golly.
Conan the Barbarian reference in this economy? That's wild. That's crazy, man.
And there's your short for the week. Flip that bit right there.
Have you heard of the Enigma of Steel?
Golly. Welcome back, guys. Season 2. Today, we are kind of going all over the place. We had talked about really what brought it up, and I'm going to be serious a minute. I'm at the time of this recording, I hate to put a damper on things, and then we'll go back to being lighthearted. at the time of this recording, I just lost a family member, my wife's uncle, and he was like an uncle to me, Mr. Ronnie Freeman, Uncle Ronnie. And for those of you who haven't, go back on our Indian Hen Outdoors YouTube channel and watch that interview. Just a powerful testimony, and it got us to thinking about all these stories that older men have told us and passed us, or even things that have happened to us that are not. It's nothing special, but it's just a funny story, or it's a glimpse into the life of that person, and it's oral history in a way.
Yes.
And
once they're gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
Except for those that, heard it.
Except for those that heard it. So we're just going to we called it old man stories. We mean that affectionately. It could be some stories from us too, but we're just going to do that a little bit. And again, I was going to, if you haven't, go check out the video where I interviewed Uncle Ronnie. I thought about including some stories of him today, but to be honest with you, I can't get through that today. So at some point, I'll probably have my father-in-law, and
there'll be a local legends update.
There will be a local legends update, and we'll do a podcast on that and tell about his story on the podcast and some of the stories of them hunting back in the day and growing up and just. Sure. But that being said,
but go to Indian Hen on Indian Hen Outdoors YouTube.
That's right.
Go to the playlist.
Yep.
Go to the local legend playlist, and we'll have some more of those coming out.
Yes. Thank you,
local legends. And go look up Uncle Ronnie. Like I said, it's kind of hard for Turner because this is very recently that he passed away. Uncle Ronnie was paralyzed after falling out of a tree stand, and for a lot of people, that would be the end of their life. Whether they survived or not, they would look at that and go, "Well, I can't do anything. This is just it." And Uncle Ronnie was the exact opposite, and he has an amazing testimony. So again, we won't get into too many more stories about him, but he has an incredible testimony. Please go look up Indian Hen Outdoors on YouTube. Check the playlist, local legends, and look up Uncle Ronnie. It is worth a watch. I know I have watched it multiple times, and it has encouraged me a bunch.
Thank you for that, Bailee. So now, getting into it, funny stories from years past, people we've known, family members. Who wants to go first? Bailee, I say, why don't you go? And Will's got one. I don't know if he can tell or not. I hope he tells it. I'm not sure.
It may get changed on who it was.
There you go. That could work.
That's a way to approach it.
There you go. Well, some of these I'm definitely going to have to change the names of them.
Well, I'm not going to change the name on this one.
Go ahead.
And this is a short one. And again, some of these might just be short stories, but they were hilarious, or they were just a good time. This comes from my father, who was raised in southern Kentucky, northern Tennessee, that area. And this was Uncle Purry. Now, that's P-U-R-R-Y, not P-E-R-R-Y. That's P-U-R-R-Y. That's Purry. That's how they say it in Kentucky. That's how we're going to say it. So Uncle Purry, a notorious outdoorsman, does a garden every year, bring you all kinds of produce, salt of the earth kind of guy. He and my grandfather were going squirrel hunting, and they took my father and his two brothers with them. My dad said, they were young. They were probably preteen, maybe early teenagers. He said, I had a 410. My brothers had a 410 or maybe a 20 gauge. He said, we're walking around. He said, we've shot a few squirrels. And Uncle Purry has not stopped talking about, this is in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Uncle Purry has gotten through a mail-in catalog a reloading kit. And he said, y'all won't believe it. I have been reloading my own shotgun shells.
Oh, no.
Well, he's talked about it the whole time. He said, we've shot, 3 or 4 different squirrels as we're walking through there. Well, finally, he gets on a squirrel, comes perfectly over the path. It's just picturesque. There's a branch, sticking out over the path. Squirrel walks over there, and he's standing. Uncle Purry's, maybe 30 feet from him. Great within 12 gauge range, right? Especially Uncle Purry's been talking about, I've been using my reloading kit. These are hot.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to get everything.
Oh, boy.
I've been doing this, reloading. I followed the manual. You guys won't believe what these 12 gauge shotgun shells will do. So they all say, well, Purry, Here's a squirrel. My grandfather, Jim, said, all right, Perry, let's see it. He threw up that double barrel 12 gauge. Alakablam! He gives him both barrels. They said there was a pile of smoke. They said the squirrel looked down, looked over, and ran off. Perry said, well, dang, I guess I missed. Perry dropped the barrel, and all the shot ran out the end of the barrel.
Oh, that's
My dad
fantastic.
said whatever Perry was doing to reload them shotgun shells, it wasn't right. Whether it was the mixture or the wadding, but whatever it was, he said it made a heck of a noise, but ain't not a bit of shot came out of that shotgun shell.
Oh, my goodness. Golly.
Honestly, kind of impressive.
Oh.
So there's number one.
This next story, and this, I think enough time has passed that nobody will get in trouble, but this actually comes from a family member of mine, and this was probably some, I don't know, 50 years ago or more now. Maybe this would have been like in the 1960s. That's how long ago this been. So they were at this paper mill, and they all worked together. And for those of you who don't know, paper mills are very common here in the South. A lot of people have worked there. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And basically, you know, they make the pulp or whatever that is going to go into actual paper. Some mills actually make paper. Some mills make cardboard. Some of it is just the actual product that is going to go into something like diapers and whatnot. So paper mill is very common. So this happened at one of those. And you have piles and piles of chips, bark, you know, chipped up wood chips that fuel this thing, or they either are boiled down to make fuel, you know, to make liquor that's burned in the boiler, or they actually get turned into product, you know, the chipped up wood itself. But you have these massive piles of chips out there, and that plays a role here in a minute. And so there was this gentleman that had transferred to this department, and nobody cared for him. Nobody wanted him there. They said he was lazy or whatnot. And they, you know, they was giving him a hard time, and so they come up with an idea. So then for about a month, they said, well, you know that this mill was built over an old graveyard. And so, man, y'all are messing with me. Y'all stop. And everybody in the department kept on. Oh, you know, this is an old graveyard, and, you know, legend is, you know, people been out here working, and they seen the keeper of the graveyard. He'll be walking around with a lantern. And he's like, y'all stop, every one of y'all. So they play this up. They go on like a month or so, and different people in the department. And then every now and then you have one, you know, oh yeah, I seen his ghost out there. I'm telling y'all. So this rocks on one rainy night. They of course wait to the perfect time. And there was some guy that had worked in another department, and he was about 7 feet tall. He was, you know, looked like a basketball player. He was very gaunt, very bony, kind of pale, blonde-headed, perfect.
Lean fella.
Big lean fella who's kind of pale, looking perfect. And they go to the storeroom and get him a big old yellow raincoat and a hat. And I don't know where they come about the lantern. Somebody brought it to the mill. And they give him a lantern. Well, this fella that they didn't like, he's out there on the dozer at the wood chip pile. Out there in the middle of the night. And I don't know how he didn't fall without killing himself, but the tall fella, the stand-in for the ghost, he climbs the chip pile and gets up on top of it above where this guy's running the dozer. Or the front end loader, not a dozer, front end loader.
Yeah.
Well, about that time, he takes him a couple of scoops, and when he takes him a big old scoop, and any of y'all that seen a front end loader, you know, the lights, they got lights up on the arms of that scoop that connect to the bucket, right? And he scoops, and them lights go up to the top of that chip pile. And for those of you that can see me on YouTube, that man is standing there looking down with that lantern like this.
Oh no!
And he's looking straight down with that lantern, you know, held in both hands. Well, old homeboy in the loader, he give him the loader. So as Jerry Clyde would say, he abandoned. Look, I'm telling y'all, it's 1,000 wonders somebody didn't get killed. he abandons the loader. It's still in gear.
With a bucket full of wood chips.
With a bucket. It goes off, and thankfully it hits a big metal column and stalls out and quits. So he runs in there headed to the office. It's on the second floor. And he goes to hit the elevator. He's hitting the button. It won't work. Again, they had something to do with that, too. The elevator wouldn't work. So he hits the stairs. So everybody's gathered in the break room, knowing what's about to happen. And this is how my family member knew this actually happened, because he was actually the supervisor, and he was in the break room when this fella busted up in there and had to inquire as to what had happened. But this man, he hits the stairs. He's climbing them 3 stairs at a time, and he comes in and he busts through the door into the break room. And everybody just look at, what's wrong? And
Looked
so
like that little monster in Monsters Inc.
so then, you know, said family member, supervisor, has to inquire when everybody quits laughing and snickering. He has to inquire what happened. But that fella did, in fact, transfer back to his department shortly thereafter.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Will, have you got any stuff? I know there's one. Are you ready here? You think you can do it?
Just anyone?
Pick one.
So, you know,
It's a long pause.
I'm just thinking of something. So,
Well, we've got a bunch from our days together working that we can't say on air.
yeah. We're not past the scope of being held accountable for that yet.
Hey, remind me. I've got one. Remind me to tell y'all about the bird here in a minute. Go ahead, Will.
A bird. Bird is a bird.
So my mother was adopted, and her parents, when they adopted her, they were older. They were about 45 when they adopted her. So I mean, if they were still alive, they'd be 107 years old. Like they're old. So I have stories from far back.
Yeah.
So apparently, him and his buddies, they had come up with this idea. It's like, you know what, World War II is kicking off. Like, man, we might as well just go ahead and sign up. They gonna get us anyway. So they loaded up. They drove down to New Orleans, and was just gonna go ahead and join the Navy. Well, they got down there, and he got thinking about it. Man, this is dumb. Like, I'm just gonna stay home until they come and get me. Well, he goes home, and it wasn't no time afterwards. They came and got him. They put him in the Army. I had to look through my notes back at home, but they put him in I want to say the 68th Wildcat Brigade. I know Wildcat Brigade was the name of it. They did not go to the European theater. They followed the 1st Marine Division around in the Pacific and relieved them everywhere they went. He was at Guadalcanal, Peleliu. Peleliu was awful. He got to see some stuff.
I bet he did.
Oh my word!
It's like, ooh, man. It's like, okay,
should have joined the Navy.
Like, and you think like, okay, Army. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
He spent years training too, because they were. I think he was way out west somewhere and training because they're like, all right, we're going to Africa. And they scrapped that. I think they put him in Tennessee or somewhere. It's like, we're actually going to the jungle.
Golly.
Wow.
Yep. It's like, And there was a whole slew of them. They're Burkitts. There's a whole slew of them. And just about all of them served during World War II. And his name was Charles. He undoubtedly saw the worst, the most and the worst of any of them. And he was just the nicest, caring, genuinely cared. He was just as nice as he could be. And his cousin Dick Burkitt, was in the Army, never even left the States. And he's just the meanest, cantankerous, unreasonable.
Isn't that funny? Do you know anybody like that, Will?
Nah, nobody comes to mind.
Oh goodness.
I just found that interesting.
No, it
I think
is,
it's
but
pretty cool.
no, but it is funny, and I don't want to get off on that. But it just in my not just military, but just my personal experience. Those people that have actually been through something, been through it, are usually some of the kindest people I've ever met. Those who haven't generally take themselves too seriously. That's the best way I can say that.
Yeah, everything I've heard about him has been phenomenal. I wish I could have known him better. My only memories of him was visiting him at
Right.
the VA home up in Collins when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's funny when they adopted my mom, he sold all some calves to pay for it.
That's a story in and of itself. What I see you
Oh,
percolating
man.
over there. What you got? You got another one for us?
Well, I do. On that note of being in the military, this one comes from one Mr. Rufus.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We should do a series where we like watch and review like these old Vietnam stories and be like, yeah, that ain't real.
Hey,
Y'all know what I'm talking
TK
about.
had to learn from somebody.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Oh, every episode. Guys, y'all are killing me. Please send that email to will.howard. Go ahead.
50 nades, baby, 50 nades.
Sack full of nades.
Anyways, on that note, so on the note of being in the military, this comes from one. He was a local legend. He lived in a town just south of us, and I actually bought a house from him. And, he was affectionately known. He was my grandfather's best friend. He was affectionately known as Mr. Rufus, and he was about 6'3", 6'4", and had a giant white mustache. I mean,
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Turner got to meet him. He
even the way that Mr. Rufus, God rest his soul, left this world is the most secondhand lines.
Oh, he went out with his boots on.
He went out with his boots on.
We'll just leave it at that.
Go ahead.
But he went out with his. We'll say that when he met his maker, he was doing what he loved, and he went out with his boots on. But yeah, it looked like two white caterpillars up on there. Anyways, in the during the Vietnam War, he kind of did the same thing. He said, well, I'm probably going to get drafted, so I'll just go ahead and join the National Guard, and we'll see what happens. So he joined the Mississippi National Guard. Well, it turned out, unlike that story, it was a good call, because whatever unit he was part of, they did a ton of training, he said, and he was in the Guard for 6 or 7 years during the Vietnam War. He said they did a ton of training, and at one point were about to get called up, and then got their orders canceled, and he never left the States. But he said one of his best memories was during training at one Camp Shelby. And he said they were on patrol. He said I was a private. He said, and all of us were weekend warriors. We all had daytime jobs, and we were out here for 1 or 2 weeks at a time, or maybe a weekend. And he said we had been on a rough march, marching along. It was hot, sweaty, nasty Mississippi weather, middle of summer. He said whenever they would go on patrol, he said, we'd be right in the middle of some thicket, and a little biplane would fly over. And that was supposed to simulate an enemy plane. And he said it dropped flour sacks.
Yep.
If you've ever seen the movie Follow Me Boys,
yep.
they get into a war game scene, and it's about like that.
Right.
He said they dropped sacks of flour, and that was a bomb. Of course, you got to jump off in the woods. You got to get off the trail. You got to take cover, jump in the thicket. He said, well, one old redneck boy was with us, and he would cuss and puff and throw a fit every time that biplane would come on. He said, well, we were towards about the end of the day, and we had kind of not realized, but every time we looked over at him, whenever the biplane would come, he'd be sitting over there whittling on something. He'd be looking up, he'd be throwing a fit, and he'd be whittling on something. Well, he did that probably 4 or 5 times with that biplane going by. And then about 3 o'clock that afternoon, the biplane came back, and we could hear it. All of a sudden, this old boy They all had M16s. He said, but we had blank cartridges. He said, all of a sudden, this little boy throws that M16 up against the oak tree. Pop, pop, pop. He said he shoots 3 times. He said the biplane started smoking. He had taken the oak tent pegs and had carved himself some 5.56 bullets, opened up the crimped rounds, and crammed them in there. And he said, whether you want to believe it or not, it worked. And he shot that biplane down. He hit it in the engine. He said it was going so slow and it was so low. He said, I don't know that it hit it that hard. He said, but it was smoking. He said, the biplane didn't come back the rest of the week.
That is fantastic. Oh my goodness.
Made some 223 bullets out of a oak tent peg.
That's wild.
So this this one this comes from my grandfather, and he worked, as we mentioned before earlier, talking about paper mills. He worked maintenance for paper mills for most of his life. That's kind of what he was known for. And so this was back in his home state of Alabama when he worked over there. And again, this is the 70s. And you have to realize it's more advanced now. But back in the day when police radar really became a thing, it took like 3 seconds for it to read.
Yeah.
Like you point the gun. That's really, radar detectors really don't work now because radar works so fast. Back then, if it went off, your fuzz buster, you had 3 seconds to hit the brake and slow down before he got it reading. So that being said, some context there. Well, during this time, there was some guys that were all single and all working at the mill, and they had them a Corvette club. They all had Corvettes. And again, this is in the 70s.
When a working man could buy a Corvette.
Well,
we'll ignore that one.
Yeah. Boy, that's a podcast in itself. So they had a Corvette club. Well, one of them old boys, he's coming through there and maybe moving along a little faster than he should have, and he got stopped. And here come highway patrolman. And he was a local guy, even though he was highway patrol. He whipped out, and the guy stopped in his Corvette. And sir, you was humming along pretty good there. And he just starts throwing a fit. He goes, I cannot believe you got. I just cannot. Officer, I'm sorry. I'm not mad at you. I'm not trying to get out of the ticket. I mean, that's fine. I was speeding. I am in the wrong. I just came from the dealership. I've been having all sorts of problems with the speedometer in this car. And they had guaranteed me that it was fixed this time. He said, do you mind? He said, can I back up? Will you radar this car and tell me how fast I'm going when I come by you so I can go back and tell him how off it is? And the guy's, oh, sure. That's no problem. And that fool let him do it. And as the story goes, the second time he come by, the radar didn't even blink. Because that's how fast he was going when he came by the second time. And at that point,
as fast as the vet would go.
And at that point, the patrolman just kind of accepted defeat and didn't even get in the car.
That's pretty slick right there.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I said that about the bird earlier. I think this is one of those, the statute of limitations is up.
Oh, okay.
This is actually a me story. More specifically, my brother. So, talk about those. Every now and then you come around some people in your life that are not just older men, those crazy old men. We know. And some of that should lead into a Roy story here in a minute.
Yeah, we'll tell one of those. Those are pretty good too.
So, there was this gentleman that one of my brothers, again, I'll be very vague here. At this point in time, me, one of my siblings, and my father all worked at this place. And again, we've all no longer employed there, and statute of limitations is up. And so there was this older gentleman that my brother worked for. And he got to talk like this right here. Real low voice, and he kind of mumbled. You had to really listen to him. You talk like that. And you couldn't understand him.
Almost like a deep boomhauer.
It kind of deep boomhauer. That's a good. So for those of you who don't know, plants of any kind, paper mills, factories, whatever, they'll have what you call a shutdown. Well, during the shutdown, basically the facility shuts down to conduct maintenance, things that need to be repaired. They'll paint, whatever needs doing. It's kind of a 1 to 2 week where, hey, we're shutting everything down and we got to fix everything.
Like a reset.
Broken. It's a reset. So, especially at night, mill's not running. People are left to their own devices, and, workers left to their own devices usually get into mischief. Well, to start one, there was an incident, that the older fella kind of talked like this. He had one of the hired hands. You see, when you're in a shutdown, you'll bring in more independent contractors to do a lot of this work. Your regular employees will be propped up, sitting around drinking coffee. I'm not saying that a card game or two may have took place. I can neither confirm or deny. That's another story. But this man, he may have convinced one of the contractors to steal one of the golf carts out the parking lot. That nearly caused a riot, but that's another story. So anyway, my brother and this gentleman are working out there, and we're supposed to be doing maintenance, and I'm there working night shift, and I'm just kind of helping them doing whatever because I'm a contractor as well. And so at these loading docks, any loading dock or any door at a facility like that to a warehouse is terrible to get insects and birds inside. It's a constant struggle to keep birds and insects out of the building. And so these had automatic roll-up doors, and they had this netting over the top of it that the idea was to keep birds from nesting on top of the docks. Well, it didn't work, and what would happen is periodically a bird would get inside the net and then get trapped.
Stuck.
So we're out there. It's late at one night, and my sibling and this older man, who shall remain nameless, I'm going to get that bird out there. I'm like, leave the bird. I'm not dealing with this.
But this is for the birds.
And so, I got an idea. And in this warehouse, we got those giant silver industrial fire extinguishers. And for those of you who don't know, like, they'll smother you. Like, it says, if you get sprayed with one, like, it'll kill you. It'll kill you. I guess that's the best way to say it. It'll smother you,
Yeah.
Not something you want to be messing with. Let's take that fire extinguisher. Let's gas that bird. He used another word, and, it's in the Bible, a word for a donkey, but let's gas it. Anyway, so then we get the man lift, and we get the little electric man lift, and y'all know how slow they move. It's going 1 mile an hour, and we wheel it across the parking lot and go up there. And I don't know why, but I decided to get in the man lift with them, with my sibling and this man. And we're like, all right, boom us up. So we get up there, the bird's flying around, poor thing, he's right there. All right, gas this. Well, the bird just flies to the other end of the net, 20 feet away. We're not hurting him. But now there is a cloud of toxic fog that is surrounding the man lift, and it is now blown. We've kicked the fans off. It is blown back on us in the man lift that goes 1 mile an hour. So we're Jacob. No, it won't go down. And so he's like, gosh dang it, take the lift out. You gotta get us down. We're gonna smother it. I can't get it down. We gotta get it down. And we're all hacking and coughing and whatever. Finally get it to back up and to sit down, and we're hacking and coughing and whatever. I told you that story to tell you this story. A few days later, I'm in my father's office, and at this place of work, he had a position of authority. We'll just say that. And I'm in there, and another man who shall remain nameless, you don't know what I'm talking about, Will. He busts up in there, and he's one of the head guards for the mill. Man, somebody done discharged one of them fire extinguishers. Don't say it, Will. Man, somebody done discharged one of these fire extinguishers in there. You know anything about that? And without having to ask a question, my father turns and looks at me with that look over the glasses. And I have to cover my face up. I'm like, I swallow my tongue and I go out there and I leave. I nonchalantly go out the office and they're in there talking. And I'm leaned up out there on the dumpster looking, watching. Here comes my father and the guard. And they're headed toward, the guard is first and my dad's following him and he's not happy. He's headed toward the door of the warehouse and I just happen to look up. And it's been there a week the whole time. There is a white streak, a stain, up the side of that dock where that fire extinguisher had blown. And the guard doesn't look up. And he goes inside real quick, and my dad, his foot hits the top step of the stairs. And he puts his hand on the handrail and he just happened to turn his eyes and he slowly looks up. And he looks up and he's looking right at that streak. And he turns back and looks at me and I just duck. I'm gone. And so then he has to go inside and so that all that takes place and then he goes, why was the fire extinguisher discharged? Ask my sibling. Again, the statute of limitations is up on that.
Yeah, what can they do?
Hey, you guys.
Y'all make sure you got your PPE on.
So, my grandfather,
Lonnie,
Bye.
never die.
my dad's dad, he was missing his pinky.
Yeah.
Didn't have his pinky. Well, the story goes, he was 2-3 years old. Him and his brother and cousins were out there playing by the woodshed, and they had a little hatchet sitting out there. Apparently, the game was like, see if who can move their hand fast enough and not get that finger whacked off.
I take it he lost.
He wasn't fast enough.
Not that time. Whack! There it went. And they run in, tell mom and aunt whoever, and they come on out. And, oh my goodness! Somebody picks up the finger, sets it on the fence post.
Oh my goodness!
Runs back inside to get a jar. It's like, all right, we can get this. We'll get to town. Maybe they can slap it back on there. Well, they come back out the house, and it just so happened they were able to see that one of them barn cats jumping off that fence post.
My word! Stop!
What was always so funny now looking back, I asked Papa, man, what happened to your finger, Papa? It's like, for a long time, all he would say was, cat ate it.
No further explanation.
I know one thing. I'm going to stay away from them cats. They'll take your dang fingers off.
Oh my word!
That's awesome.
That was funny. Papa, he was such the duality of man. He loved to be all dressed nice and presentable, and he also loved the outdoors. Immensely loved hunting and fishing. But he wanted to be nice and everything. So much so, his sisters would starch and iron his pants for him.
Oh my goodness!
Which I can't say. None of my sisters would do that for me. But
is that where you get your OCDness about your hair from?
You want to talk about OCD? Papa, he was. Dad.
I don't want Bob. I'm a Dapper Dan man.
Place 2 weeks from everywhere.
A geographical oddity.
Dad told me a story one time when it's probably like his kindergarten graduation or something, and like, you got your son. Okay, let's fix your hair, son, and everything. Well, apparently, Papa just couldn't get it perfect to how he wanted Dad's hair to be. So he spent half an hour just wetting and combing and brushing his hair. That's like, I was just dying the whole time. But so grew up, and days gone by. Well, goes over to his grandfather's house. Apparently, a skunk had made its way underneath the house. Had itself a litter of skunk babies.
Oh no!
That's where skunks come from.
Did you know skunks come from skunks?
Oh my goodness. But he convinced my grandfather. He's like, look, gave him a burlap sack. Just go in there. They're little.
Oh,
If you
no.
if you grab them by the tail, they won't spray.
Well, that's some junk
Hey,
that I.
Oh,
Cruel trick.
That's like snipe hunting right there.
Oh, goodness.
My poor football, he crawled up underneath there and started loading them up. He might have got him a couple before he got him a dose. And man, he said I had to wear that off. It was terrible. He had sisters, and about the time that he was in the yard in a wash tub and getting scrubbed down with tomatoes and whatnot, a bunch of his sister's friends started pulling up.
Oh, and never lived it down.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, there's nothing like being a young boy and embarrassed in front of a bunch of girls.
Mhm.
It's over.
Oh, goodness. There's
God,
nothing like
man.
trying not. There's nothing like trying not to be embarrassed in front of a bunch of girls and almost breaking your back. That's another story. I don't know if I can tell that. No.
I don't remember that one. What was it?
Me doing the backflip or not doing the backflip. Let me
yeah.
say that. Me not doing the
doing the
backflip.
What were you like Stewart off of Mad TV? Look what I can do.
Oh, yeah. It was. I thought you were dead. I'm going to be honest. When I saw that video, I wasn't there for that one, but I
There's
saw
a
the
video somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another story.
Search the archives.
Search the archive.
Oh, goodness.
I'll tell let's see. I'm going to tell one on you real quick.
Oh, no.
Just because we're getting older and it's just, we're eventually going to have old man stories. But then I got some Roy stories that I've got to tell. But
Is it at all possible to pause this?
No. Hang on a second. We'll take a.
Will's got a TT.
Let me do my Joe Rogan. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back.
Stop in the name
Okay, we're back. Now, where were we? You was going to.
Oh, yeah.
That just got us banned from YouTube.
Yeah, you can't sing, songs that are on the radio.
Right.
Anyways, no, we love YouTube and the YouTube overlords. Please.
Yes. Continue.
Anyways, no, we're in our 30s. We're eventually we're gonna have to turn all these stories into old man stories as we pass them.
I'm on the backside of 30. I'm sorry.
Back off. Don't let the old man in. Oh, that'll make you cry.
Dang, why'd you have to go
I
there?
know.
This is supposed to be funny
This is
time.
supposed to be fun.
Go ahead.
Fun. R.I.P. Toki. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. No, this was so where my family home was that I grew up at before it got hit by a tornado. It was surrounded by a floodplain. So the house itself was up on a hill that was out of the floodplain, but the rest of our property I grew up on like 20 acres. You couldn't do it. The property was basically worthless because it was so far under the floodplain. And we was right on a river, and about 4 or 5 times a year, the whole, except for those 2 acres, the other 18 acres, it might be 3 feet underwater.
Yeah.
And we had a pile of fun with it. We'd go out there and, kayak it, and probably should have been doing that in floodwater, but
Right.
you live, and sometimes you live, and if you don't die. And well, I had a flock of chickens, and I had it in what they call down here in the South a tractor, which is some structure, as Jerry Fowler would say. And I made it out of 2x6s that I scrounged somewhere. And it was,
Who on earth has spare 2x6s laying around? Golly.
This was before the dark times.
before the Empire.
Before the Empire.
This is back when a 2x6 was half the cost of a 2x4 today, but we won't talk about that.
Continue.
Anyways, so man, it comes a gully washer, and we were only like 400 yards from the river, and the river would raise 15, 20 feet. Well, I had these chickens in a low spot because in that tractor, I'd hook it up to my little truck. I had a little S10 at the time, and I'd pull it around. And I mean, this was a big enough tractor you could walk around inside. Like I had taken a screen door, and that was my door to get inside.
This was a double wide for chickens.
Oh man, this was the chicken Taj Mahal. They had all kinds of, and I loved it because man, I'd get a dozen eggs a day almost. Well, so I was proud of my chickens. Again, you got to think I had a 2-wheel drive S10, the mighty 4.3. However, this is out in wet grass in a floodplain. Now, when it's dry, you can drive out there on it, But when it's wet, you're in trouble.
Especially by wet, not just, underwater.
We're talking it's underwater. Well, we had been at some event, probably playing frisbee or hanging out.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Me and Turner and some other guys will usually break off and just go hang out by ourselves and talk and have talk about philosophy or whatever. Well, we were going to go back to my house, and I got there first, and I look out, and the floodwaters have come up faster than I anticipated. And I shine my mag light into the chicken coop, and it's almost at the roosting boxes. And all of my chickens are wet and mad. You ever heard mad as a wet hen? They were all not happy.
Yeah, they are in the rafters of this chicken coop.
In the rafters of the chicken Taj Mahal. It's about 3 foot high and rising, Mama. In the
Oh.
Well, I called Turner, and at the time, what year K5 Blazer was it?
85.
An 85 K5 Blazer. Boy, what a truck it was. We should have burned up that 350, some of the stuff we did.
Goodness gracious.
That is a testament to how tough that thing is, of some of the things we squeal around at. But I called Turner and I said, look, you're the only one that's awake right now because it's like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
I said, that with a 4-wheel drive. I said, can you please come help me?
And to clarify, this Blazer sat up enough that in the middle of town, no less, I ran over a doe one time and never touched the grill.
Yeah.
That's how high this truck set up.
This truck was way up there. Well, so Turner and another buddy of ours, James, the cameraman, came over, and I said, Turner, look, just back as close as you can get, and I'll wade out there. And I had to wade out there, like up to my waist.
Oh, hey, look, y'all ever seen those clips, and they used to use them for like cigarette ads or whatever, of like the guys with the Land Rovers in South America, and they're like forging rivers and whatnot. That's what this looked like.
That's what this looked like. And so I wade over there, and I have to squat down and get to like where it's only 3 or 4 foot deep, but I'm squatting down and trying to find the chain to this tractor. And so I squat down and I find it. I've got water to my neck, and I throw it over the hitch of Turner's K5 Blazer, and Turner throws it in 4-wheel low, and I back up and go, all right, go ahead. And I'll never forget. Turner just leans out the window. It's still raining on us. Then we got a mad light. Chickens are clucking in the wind, and I hear, hey, y'all, little chickens, let's go! Turner gibbered the beans and pulled the chickens to safety, and we didn't lose near an egg nor a chicken. And then,
but see, what was, that's bad enough. But again, in our infinite wisdom. So in the middle of this field,
you're going to talk about what happened right after.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So me and James and Bailee's,
we called that a win, so we figured we'd push our luck.
yeah, God, looking back now, it's scary how stupid we were. But so
we're on a podcast called Lost and Stupidity.
Touche. So this field. And see, Bailee, like they had horses at one point, goats, whatever.
A flock of goats.
But again, it would flood. But most of the time, it's a field. Well, in the middle of the field, there's a road that we always drove that goes all the way to the river.
Yeah.
And it's probably 3 foot higher
than the rest of the
field.
It's built up out of the field, and it's like a packed road. You could drive anything on it, whether it's wet or not.
Right.
It wasn't just a gravel road. It was packed. Like we packed it with a motor grader.
Okay. So we get the bright idea. We go, well, the field's like 6 feet deep of water, but the road ain't but like 2 or 3.
We thought.
So then we get in the Blazer, and we're going to drive as far as we can on the road because there's a high spot out there, and we're like, oh, that'll be funny. We'll drive the Blazer out there in the water.
Yeah, and if you could get through this road, the high spot, you basically have water.
Yeah.
And then the high spot, and then the actual river. So it was a true island.
Yeah.
We're like, can we get out to the island in the Blazer? And we were like, hey, we know where the road is.
Yeah.
And there's fence posts. There's 2 fence posts that mark the road. And we're like, hey, we just hit that.
Just aim for the goalpost.
Yeah, go.
Well.
Continue.
Well, for those of you who are familiar with the square body Chevrolet, you know that it has 4 stacked headlights. Well, when water went over the bottom headlight, I began to worry. When water went over the second headlight, and the Blazer began to shimmy in the current, we realized at that moment we had messed up.
We better start backing up. The whole Blazer was floating and turning towards the current.
And we, thankfully, by the grace of God, we were able to back up.
Me in the passenger seat, James is in the back going, guys, this isn't a good idea. Guys, this isn't a good
Yeah.
idea.
Oh, yeah. Poor old James, if you're listening, I'm sorry. One day we'll listen to you. It's funny looking back, how many times James was the voice of reason.
Oh,
Isn't that funny?
I'll tell one of myself in that same field. It wasn't flooded, but and James.
The night that me and James tried to go scare the people at Red Bluff.
Oh no, yeah, that was Turner actually fell down Red Bluff for those.
Literally.
That was
literally.
No, we had a tree fall down, and it was actually when those oak trees get hollow, they get the disease in them, and then they split apart. Well, half this oak tree had fallen down, and the limbs were so big on it that it held that half of the trunk, 9 or 10 feet in the air. Well, and it had little boogers sticking off of it and everything. James wasn't doing anything on a Saturday, and I said, well, hey, I'm gonna take my old Ford pickup truck. I had a red '94 Ford pickup truck, and I said, I'm gonna take it down there and take the steel chainsaw and go cut it up for some firewood. We'll have the guys over and have us a bonfire that night. James said, well, I'm not doing anything. I'll come help. So I'm running the steel like a madman. I'm cutting limbs here and there. I thought, well, I've gotten kind of everything I can from the bottom. Let me get on top of this tree trunk that is now horizontal and 9 feet in the air. And I was a relatively athletic bloke, so I shimmied up there with a 24-inch steel chainsaw. And I'm cutting limbs left and right. And I'm walking across it. And James is kind of dragging stuff out for me and helping me out. Well, then all of a sudden I cut one, and I don't realize it was the one that was holding it up. And so the whole horizontal trunk shifts with me on it. And I turn and fall with the chainsaw above my head, wide open. And I fall about 9 feet. And by the grace of God, at the last minute, I spread eagle, and the chainsaw lands to the left of me instead of right in the middle of my face. And
I forgot about that.
I sat up. I'll never forget it. I sat up. I go check my torso. I make sure I'm not cut. I reach over to the testament to the steel chainsaw. I reach over there. I turn the steel chainsaw off, and I look over, and James's eyes are as wide as saucers. And he goes, "How did you not die?" I go, "I don't know, man." He said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm all right. My butt hurts. I just fell 8 foot out of a tree, but I'm okay." And James goes, "Well, good. I can't drive a stick, so if you were about to have a chainsaw in you, you were going to die right here."
I forgot about that. Golly.
2 out of 10 bleed out spot.
2 out of 10 bleed out spot. Not a pretty spot.
Golly.
To have a steel chainsaw stuck in your trunk.
Just a step above a Walmart parking lot.
Golly. Well, Will, are you going to tell that story and change your name, or are you going to plead the fifth on that one?
So, story goes, this feller, he was people had aspirations of him maybe going off to college and becoming a preacher possibly, and man, he just wasn't quite sure. Wrote a running away letters like saying stuff along the lines of, "I need to go be my own man," stuff like this, at the grand wise age of 16, 17 years old. So he writes him a running away letter, and he takes off. Well, I can't imagine a whole lot of thought went into the running away part, because when he spun the wheel of places where he was going to live, he landed on his girlfriend's dad's property where he kept cows at and cut hay. He didn't live on this property. So he goes back there and finds him a creek on the back 40 and just straight up bums it out there.
Jeremiah Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, time goes on, and finally, this fella, his mom's like told her husband, "Go and get my son.
Yeah.
Well, he asked around and found out where he was staying, so he makes his way out there to that property and goes out there and finds him. And this fella said it was quite the sight. He was, he was straight up hobo maxing.
Hobo Max. Yeah.
Survivor Man before Survivor Man. It's like those videos you watch at 1 a.m. where the dudes don't talk and they're like in
Yes,
India or something.
yes.
And they're making underground pools.
Yes.
Straight up hobo maxing down by the creek.
Golly.
In a van down by the river.
Had him a bicycle.
Golly. Well, we're coming up on an hour. So, Bailee, do you want to please lead us into some Roy stories?
Oh, man.
If you can cover, my favorite is the alligator,
Okay. Yeah.
followed by the
A little spooky one at the
yeah,
end.
the incident in Vietnam.
The incident in Vietnam. Okay. Well,
There's your teaser.
there's you a good teaser. We'll tell the funny one and then a couple funny ones and then we'll wrap up with the spooky.
There you go.
So this fella, we'll just call him Roy, and we'll just leave it at that because he's a character. And now look, he's one of my favorite persons in this whole wide world. When I was 16, I had a summer gig remodeling and building a barn and helping a fella out and just basically kind of a hand, as the old timers would say. Well, I was a hand to Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy, again, another gentleman with an impressive mustache. And he was a Vietnam vet, and he had a time in Vietnam. He had been blown up. The story goes they were moving the units out, and he was part of the missile crew that had missiles set up. And according to Roy, there were things in Vietnam that nobody knew there were things in Vietnam. If you if you know what I mean. Roy said that his commanding officer told him that the missiles were more important than you, and so whenever the enemy was trying to overrun them, they were pulling the missiles out first. Well, Roy, was a corporal or at this point or whatever. Anyways, he said they pulled all the missiles out, and the Viet Cong were coming up. He said they were in the tree line. He said they were shooting at him. And according to Roy, he said the only thing he would do was take his M16 and put a full mag in it. Because again, he was the guy that fired missiles. He wasn't infantry. He said I'd put a full mag in it and I'd throw it on top of the trench and pull the trigger until it was empty. And then I'd pull it back down and reload it, throw it back on top of the trench, and pull the trigger until it was empty. He said his sergeant didn't like that. He said that was not the way he should have done it. But he eventually got blown up while they were, he got a grenade that messed him up pretty good. He had a bunch of reconstructive surgeries. But again, one of my favorite people. Maybe that grenade shook some things loose. Let's just leave it at that. He came back and did construction for years. And again, I met him in 2011. So he was a seasoned construction man. Roy could light a cigarette with the hot end of a stick welder. He'd be welding on something and drag that welder and it'd arc all the way across and it'd have just enough glow to it to light a Marlboro Red. And he'd done that time too. He said that on some of the skyscrapers he built that they weren't allowed to have lighters up there. And if they caught you with a lighter, you were fired. And they never could figure out how he was smoking up there.
That's fantastic.
Well, one day at this fellow's, we were both working for this gentleman, and there was a little dirt road. It was a big property, and to the barn that we kind of worked in, and we fabricate stuff, work on beds, or we might just clean up a fallen limb. It just depended on the day. And there was a dirt service road that went back to this property, and 11 o'clock came, and we'd strike out and go get lunch. And, you'd come back about 11:50. He was pretty generous on lunch. And Roy said, well, I'm going to go down there and get me an old sloppy hamburger from the gas station. I said, okay, Roy. I said, I don't know if I'm going to go to that one. I said, I might go get something else. He said, okay. So we took separate trucks. I took my truck. Roy left before I did, goes down the dirt road. And I had to gather something up. About 5 minutes later, I go down the road. And I'm tooling along on this little dirt road. And all of a sudden, I come up on Roy. I slam on the brakes. Roy's sticking his head out the whole side of this Jeep's truck. Won't get out of the truck. And I said, Roy, is everything okay? He looks at me and said, I saw a giant lizard. I said, what are you talking about? A giant lizard. That lizard was 2 feet long. Roy, we're in South Mississippi.
Okay, Roy.
Yeah, that's literally me and another guy that I work with. That's what you say. Okay, Roy. Sounds good, Roy. Whatever you say, Roy. Roy was aggravated as another thing. He got drafted while he was supposed to go to Woodstock. That tells you the type of person that he might have done some things that shook things loose before the grenade.
Gotcha. Understood.
He said, I saw a giant lizard. I'm going, man, you did not see no giant lizard. And I'm curious. I'm a country boy. I can't help it. So I'm like, I'll poke around. Well, Roy says, I am leaving. And so Roy peels out. He's not sticking around.
Man of his word.
Man of his word. He goes and gets his sloppy hamburger at the local gas station. I'm poking around. There's a fallen pine tree. And it's rotted out. You know how pine trees will do.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, it's got a cave underneath the trunk of it. I get close to that pine tree. I'm just looking around going, what is he talking about? He's just crazy. He's finally cracked. And I hear it.
Could it be?
Could it be? And I poke my head underneath this pine tree, and sure enough, there's an alligator. And now look, y'all, this is in the county. There's not a big waterway for probably a mile.
And also, side note, this is what? What year would you say?
2011.
This is way before the alligator numbers came back. This was still during the time of we did not see alligators here.
Oh, you didn't see alligators?
You told somebody.
You didn't see alligators in the regular waterway.
Yeah.
Like the nearest big waterway was the Leaf River.
Yeah.
And I grew up on the Leaf River. I never saw an alligator. And I tell you, when I grew up, I'm talking every weekend, I went swimming in the Leaf River. And I never saw a single alligator in all my 18 years.
Yeah, it's not like it is now where they're seemingly everywhere.
Correct.
But continue.
So there is a little creek that runs through this property.
Yeah.
And we're talking that this creek's 4 foot wide, maybe 10 foot wide at the wide spot.
Yeah.
And sure enough, there is a 2.5 foot alligator underneath this log going at me. So I run back to my truck. I can't help it. We're going to start with the allegedly. Allegedly, if I was to think about it, maybe I couldn't have helped it. And I had to go back and get my welding gloves. And allegedly, I may or may not have gotten my other buddy that was working with me. And allegedly, I might have reached underneath there and got said alligator out from under there. And allegedly, I said, well, I've seen Steve the crocodile hunter. They just get some electrical tape. And I told my buddy, I said, hey, I've got my welding gloves on, and I'm allegedly holding this alligator.
Allegedly.
And my buddy goes, and he'll remain nameless, and he does not like animals. He's not an animal person, we'll just say. He really doesn't like things that can hurt him. Hates snakes, hates spiders, really don't like alligators. And I said, look, I'll hold him. I said, their bite force, again, Steve the crocodile, their bite force is heavy down. It's not very heavy coming back up. I said, I can hold on to his mouth. Well, I said, just stretch out the electrical tape and tape his mouth up, and we'll take him to where he needs to go, allegedly. And as soon as he stretches that tape out and gets right to the nose of that alligator, I just go, ha! And I throw it, and throw it out of one hand, but I grab it back. I had the tail, and I threw it back. He could have dunked a basketball right there. He'd come off the ground 4 or 5 feet and commenced to cussing me.
I imagine so.
But that was a good time with old Roy. The day that Roy saw the giant
lizard. Allegedly, if you, let's say, hauled that lizard around.
Allegedly, it would be a felony.
And allegedly, somebody who knew a little more about that may have said, hey, by the way, y'all do know.
Allegedly, that's a felony.
Allegedly, that's a felony if you were to do it.
If you had done it.
Precisely.
This was all a dream.
Indubitably. Precisely.
So anyway.
Roy shared some stuff with Bailee.
Oh, my goodness.
So Roy, one of the other ones was Pierre Lefon. That was a fellow that Roy went to basic training with. He said nobody liked Pierre Lafont at basic training.
With a name like that, I can't imagine why.
He said he was just arrogant. He said they'd get him in trouble. They'd get smoked all the time by the drill instructor.
Yeah.
He said he finally had enough of Pierre Lafont. And he said he got in front of him, and he was the last man to get on the bus, whatever next training they were going to.
Yeah.
And he said, I took 2 steps up the bus, and I threw my M16 back as hard as I could. And he said, I caught Pierre Lafont right in the nose. And he said, he was out cold. They had to call the medic.
Oh, my goodness.
What happened? I don't know. He was just trying to get on the
He was
bus.
trying to get on the bus, and he just bashed his face in with the butt of my rifle.
Oh, my goodness.
One spooky one to wrap
Here
up.
we go.
This comes from Roy. Now, again, if it's a lie, he told it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think he would. Not intentionally. And again, like I said earlier, Roy ran the missiles. He was one of those crews. So he was constantly watching
The missiles that don't exist.
The missiles that we never had. We never had nukes in Vietnam. Did I say that out loud? No, we never had nukes in Vietnam.
No, exactly. This is a dream.
Yeah.
Remember?
Allegedly, there would have never, ever, ever have been nukes in Vietnam. And at no point could they have nuked Saigon if they wanted to. Allegedly, according to Roy. Allegedly.
Continue.
Anyways, Roy said that these nuclear or these allegedly missiles that were there.
Allegedly, you and me know somebody that has the same story.
Allegedly, a lot of these guys reported,
You guys.
allegedly
Uh-huh.
there were never, and none of those guys would attest.
Exactly.
That there were nukes in Vietnam.
Right, continue.
Anyways, if you smell what I'm putting down. Roy said that one of his jobs was to watch
Straight to YouTube jail.
Yeah,
Go directly to jail. Right to jail.
You overcooked chicken. You, believe it or not, you undercooked fish. He's from Mississippi, by the way. Fred
What?
Arnold. Yeah, he's from the Delta. He's one of my favorite. Anyways,
What an interesting geographical place the Delta is.
So Roy said, he's constantly watching the radar. And he said, we got so used to it. He said we could tell whether it was MiGs, we could tell if it was our fighters. He said we could tell if it was a bomber. He said we could tell what size it was. One day, he said, middle of the day, something comes up on radar, and it's coming towards us. He said, okay, enemy MiG, whatever. Okay. By that radar signature, according to him, it was the size of a 2-story house. He said
That's slightly bigger than a MiG.
Slightly bigger than MiG. He said it's going faster than anything they had seen before. Past the speed of sound. So they scrambled jets to intercept it.
Because during this time, if my history, I'm going to nerd out here a second. If history serves me well, this was just getting to the point of, like, the MiG couldn't go supersonic, I don't think.
No.
What was the American
SR-71?
No, it could, but that didn't.
Yeah. That was experimental.
At that time, it did not, quote unquote.
Yeah, it was classified at that point.
We did.
I don't know what our jet was.
I can see it. I can see it in my head. I can't think of the name. But it would reach supersonic in a dive.
Yeah.
Because the first supersonic, I think it was it was the Bell X1. Is that the one
I think you're right.
The American fighter, whatever, went against the first jet fighter that went against the MiG at that time. It could reach supersonic in a dive. It could not cruise supersonic.
So this thing is cruising, and it's coming at them.
Yeah.
So they scramble jets. Roy said this thing, the size of a house. He said once the jets got to where they think, he said we were watching on radar. He said we thought they were close enough to see something. He said they don't foresee anything. He said this thing turns on a dime and takes a hard left at the same speed, does not slow down, and then disappears off radar. He said it goes
That's some Skinwalker Ranch stuff right there.
So fast, just to the left, hard left, and goes even faster than it was going before, and it's gone.
Oh, that's wild.
So,
by the way, for those that's going to correct me, I'm thinking of Korea. But still, you did not have in Vietnam. You did have some jets that could be supersonic.
but not the size of a house.
Not the size of a house. Not the size of a house. I'm thinking of the.
And not go faster. And turn.
And not turn 90 degrees.
Nothing can turn 90 degrees on that. And according to Roy, that's what happened.
Yeah, I was thinking of Korea, the F-100 Sable or Saber, whatever. Anyway, point being,
Ford pickup truck.
right. That's a.
There's an eerie one for you.
There's an eerie one. Again, and it's weird because that sounds like some of the stuff that's come up lately,
like the Tic Tacs.
Like the Tic Tacs, the Skinwalker Ranch stuff.
These things that these pilots are seeing that come up out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And they come straight up out of the ocean, do 90-degree turns, leave them in the dust, and go back in the ocean.
There may be another podcast on that.
To quote Haunted Cosmos, it's demons.
right. Well, we'll have to do another episode of, we kind of went all over the place of just some old man stories. But thank y'all so much for listening. We hope you will join us. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm Turner.
I'm Bailee.
I'm Will.
Good night, good luck, and may the good Lord take a liking to you.